only Shakespeare rivals the Bible in literary power. Nothing seems odder or more wonderful than that our most successful entertainers should provide an alternative vision, however unintentionally, to the accounts in the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. Yahweh and Jesus speak with authority. And in another sense, so do Hamlet, Iago, Lear, and Cleopatra. Persuasiveness is larger in Shakespeare because he is richer. His rhetorical and imaginative resources transcends those of Yahweh and Jesus. Which sounds rather more blasphemous than I think it is.
Henry! I'm just listening to your tape on Hamlet. It's so interesting.
Oh, do I come through with my disembodied voice? I fear so much of me is missing without my stage presence.
Oh, Henry, how long has it been since you've seen your knees? Such a huge bed presser. Do you sleep on it? Such a huge hill of flesh. Shall we get back to work? Oh, great. So I read both those books you gave me. I actually have them here with me. Whoop. 1 and 2. I have so many questions for you, Henry. I've earmarked so many pages. But first of all, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. It's not often that a young girl as myself get on her first pageant, so to speak, get a shot at immortality. And I admire you so. But I do have quibbles. Oh yes, indeed, I do have quibbles. But you didn't hire me to be a machine, a robot.
Of course not.
Can I share my concerns with you? Start with you. All right, well, I've written them on index cards. Let me get them. All right, shall I just read them one after the other? Just lay them out on the table one after the other? And you can react. I do want your reactions. This is, I guess you know, a collaborative process. And you're ultimately in charge. You can veto.
Yes, whatever you say, Robichaud.
Are you following me?
Yes, go ahead, I am with you. Yes.
Henry. All right, first, if you want to become immortal, I suggest you just throw out this whole idea of using Hamlet. But I know, but I guess you have this idea somehow that we can use the play as a stepping stone or to somehow slingshot our way to the stars, but I don't know. This is my first gig, but it seems to make a lot more sense if we just ignore all this stuff. I mean, I looked at the play section of the library, and there's just so many plays out there. I mean, the Shakespeare section alone, it would take months. And if we want to create a piece that is immortal, why go back and read everything that has already been written before?
You want me to get a lobotomy?
Well, there are pills.
Great. I take a pill, and all those books on all those library shelves just begin to disappear. Great! Wonderful suggestion. Please. Can we move on?
Okay, fine. But as I told you, I'm only going to read just 2 books, and I've read your 2 books already, and they've already started to get me all confused.
Fine. Point 2.
Okay, fine. Point 2. All of this obsession with death in Hamlet and in your book, I mean, the graveyard scene with the skull, that was just gross. Who needs that? I would just get away from any references to death or even thoughts of death. I mean, it seems obvious to me that if you want to achieve artistic immortality, you should just bag this idea of death. Isn't that the most obvious point ever? What is it like? A tautology? So the second step on my list is just to bag death.
Oh, easy for you to say.
Okay, cheap shot. Sure. This whole idea of getting away from death is easier for me. Muses are immortal. But we can wind down too. But not if we stay fresh and don't get bogged down with so much negativity. Henry. Henry, I have a serious question for you.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Oh, yes.
Is this whole thing, you and I, just about sex?
No, sweetie.
Because if it is, I say let's just let bygones be bygones. I mean, money's great, but I want to do something great artistically. And I'm no prude here. I understand the pervasive role sex plays in contemporary art and the role of the libido in arts. And I have heard, you know, in all of your classes, how you believe that how strongly sex plays in the role of teacher-student relationships. But I don't want this to be only about sex. I want this to be about art. Primarily about art with some sex thrown in. As a tease, when the time is right.
Would you like to have a drink, honey?
Henry, it's not even noon.
Come on. You're a muse. Come on. Who can talk art sober?
Okay. Okay. Third, yes. You don't agree with my point one, and I kind of figured you wouldn't. He wants to believe that his whole life's work has been counterproductive. We need to do a take, just a take on Hamlet. I think we should work with this edition.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, which one? I've given a lot of thought to the various versions. You know, I've written extensively that his so-called Hamlet, the source of the play, which most scholars think was written by Joseph Kidd, the author of the Spanish tragedy, was actually a first draft written by Shakespeare himself. And which version would you like to work with? Like the first or second quartos or the first folio?
This one.
The question, is it better to be alive or dead? Is it nobler to put up with all the nasty things that luck throws our way, or fight against all those troubles by simply putting an end to them once and for all? Dying, sleeping, that's all the dying is, a sleep that takes away all heartache and shocks that life on earth gives to us. That's an achievement to be hoped for. Rocco, you want our source material to be, as we pursue artistic immortality, a plain text translation of Hamlet? You mean I'm paying you $10,000 an hour for? I don't get this.
Daddy, don't be angry with me. I'm just a schoolgirl, and all these big words and this big text, the original, it's just so hard. Daddy, don't be angry with your little girl. There's just so little time for the final, and I just wanted to make a few itsy bitsy cuts.
Cuts? Shortcuts? Shortcuts? Don't you see? Don't you understand the role of ambiguity, for instance? Like, where did you go to high school?
Muses don't go to high school. They take crash courses from their bosses. He leads the way.
Let me give you Art 101, young lady. No! This is just a waste of time, a precious waste of time. My wife was right. I'm just going to be making myself look like a fool consorting with a child. I mean, someone with a literary acumen of a 10-year-old. Oh!
I'm sorry.
You hit me!
I'm sorry I hit you, but I just can't stand negativity. I know you were the boss here, but I will not tolerate negativity. I think it must have something to do with human mortality, which is way beyond my ken. But what I hope, no, what I am going to achieve with our play is to put an end to the negativity, an end to the dark cloud of self-criticism. But go ahead. Where were we before we got diverted? I know I have a lot to learn. Before you got all despairing on me, you were trying to teach me something, I suppose, about language.
Okay. Let me see. In order to get this difficult aesthetic point vis-a-vis the role of ambiguity through to you, the virtue of ambiguity through to you, I want to enlist the help of Yale's cheerleaders. Can you get them in here? Great! Good! The players are assembled. You muses certainly do have your uses. So, go!
Ready? Okay. Y-E-L-L, Y-E-L-L, everybody yell, go Shakespeare! Woo! Let's get a little bit rowdy, R-O-W-D-Y. Our team is red hot, our team is red hot, our team is boom, dynamite, boom, boom, dynamite. Go Shakespeare! Oh, excuse me. Do we start?
Action.
What offends you, my lady?
Sir, mine own company.
You cannot shun your own selfie.
Yet let me go. I have a kind of self resides with you.
Here. Now this is Cressida. The Cressida who resides in Troilus. The one who loves him truly. Or so we might think on first hearing or reading.
Okay.
Are you following with my band, small band of players right now?
So far, Japan's.
Go ahead, Thalia. Go ahead. Action.
Mine,
But an unkind self.
but an unkind self, that itself would leave to be another's fool.
And let me jump in right now to make this clear, or as clear as it can be. So here Shakespeare references a second Cressida.
So she has a twin.
A twin, in a sense. A twin.
What's her twin sister's name?
She has the same name because she's the same girl.
But you said they were twins. By the way, both of these t-shirts have misspellings. There is no E after kind or unkind. And those two girls look nothing alike.
Okay, hold on, you're fucking with me, right?
Yeah, I'm fucking with you. But I am making a good point, too. If we want to craft an immortal artistic work that will be performed down through the ages, we probably have to find an audience, right? Fair point, right?
Okay.
Am I right or am I right?
Okay, fine, let's make that assumption for the time being.
So, why don't we just can the mumbo jumbo and misspellings and shit?
But wait, you're still missing my point, I think. May I continue?
Sure.
So, here are 5 plain English translations of what Cressida, Shakespeare, meant with this brief passage.
Interpretation 1. Part of me has gone over to Troilus, but that part is unkind, because that part of me talks so foolishly. Interpretation 2. I gave Troilus part of myself, but that part isn't kind to Troilus, because she may come back to me at any time, or maybe take on a new lover. Interpretation 3. Part of me, my kind self, will always be with Troilus, but another part of me will always need some space and may leave Troilus at any time just to get away and think. Interpretation 4.
part of myself I have given to Troilus, and I am trying to give him the rest of myself too, but he has not the wit to win all of me. Interpretation 5. Troilus, you have part of me, but you better watch out. Another part of me can be a real bitch, and that part might make a fool of you. Ready? Okay. Shakespeare! Shakespeare! Let me hear you guys yell! Go flower! Go flower! Woo! Ready? Okay. Flower, flower, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. Flower, flower, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
And what you need to understand in your bones, if we were to have any hope of obtaining artistic immortality with our plays, is that Shakespeare planted all 5 of these interpretations in his text through his inventive but careful word choices for generations of critics to find. And I am sure we have not exhausted his meanings. There will be a 6th equally valid interpretation on Earth this century, and the 7th 2 centuries since, ensuring the drawer bars immortality.
Okay, respectfully,
Fine, go ahead.
you credit Shakespeare with inventing the human.
Yes.
So,
Yes. You are a good reader.
so to take that a step further, he has invented infidelity too. But when I fall in love, I will not embrace Shakespeare's ambiguities. I will not have 2 selves. I will keep things simple and give all of my love, all of my single steadfast love to my one and only single steadfast boyfriend, who I won't let get near Shakespeare.
You're saying men and women didn't cheat on their wives and husbands before Troilus and Cressida.
Okay, now Henry, look who's playing the rustic now. More than anyone alive, you know that language has consequences, and Shakespeare has done more to shape our language than anyone. So all these ambiguities have fostered ambiguousness in the relationships of humans. I plan to put a stop to it. With your help.